Good afternoon, everyone that's joining us. My name is Hayden Bliss. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at Biomark, and just wanted to give a big thanks to everybody for joining us today. We had a great turnout for this. We've got people from Washington State to Maine to Idaho, Maryland, Wyoming. Got some friends north of the border in Canada, federal, state entities, people from the energy sector, university, and private firms as well. So. Thanks again for everyone joining. We hope you guys find this beneficial. And just a quick update on Biomark. We are open for business still. We have the majority of our staff working from home, and we are following the necessary procedures and protocols to keep our manufacturing staff and our shipping staff safe so that we can continue to provide products and services to our customers. And this webinar is the first in a series in an effort to stay in touch with our customers, during this challenging time for everyone. A lot of you, I imagine, are working from home as we are, so trying to utilize technology to reach out and stay in touch and inform you guys on what it is that we're doing at Biomark and some updates that we have. So really, thanks again for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Just a quick couple notes on the format for today. We've got several panelists here that will be able to speak and present. Everyone else is in listen only mode. We do that just simply because barking dogs, screaming kids, cell phones. As we know, many of us working from home right now, those are all challenges we face. So, but there is a Q&A section on the right hand side of your screen. So. We encourage everyone to type questions as the presentation is going, and I will jump in and I will stop Matt and give him your guys' questions, and so he can answer them kind of in real time. It'll make it a little more interactive rather than just us presenting to you. And then, of course, afterwards we'll stay on the call for any other questions that come in. We will also record this session, and it will be posted on our website. So, if you want to send it to anybody or if you want to go back and review anything, please feel free. And then, of course, customer service at biomark.com. You can always send us an email or call us 208-275-0011 if you have any further questions. So with that, I will let my colleague, Matt Brower, jump into it here. Matt is one of our sales representatives here at Biomark, and he has been instrumental in the testing and the development of this data collection module software. He's very familiar with it, so I will let him take it from here. Go ahead, Matt.
Thanks, Hayden. Thanks for the introduction, and hello, everybody, and welcome to my kitchen. I just wanted to point out why we kind of created this software. And so the DCM software, or the data collection module software, was created to allow a seamless wireless data collection to a variety of different devices, a lot of different measuring devices being RFID readers, scales, Bluetooth scanners. There's all sorts of things that we can hook to this. The software is affordable, it's extremely intuitive and user friendly, and it allows users to create or modify data fields on the fly. Today, we're just going to go over the new Windows 10 version of the DCM software that was just actually launched recently. It is also available on the Android platform. And with that, I figure I will just show you some of the peripheral devices that we are going to be using today. So this right here is the new 50 centimeter electronic measuring board. This guy is made of high density polyethylene. It's all hand welded here in Boise, Idaho. All of the fittings and the lights are all IP67 ingress protected. It has a 40-hour battery life to it, so it lasts a long time. The internal sensor on the inside of it is accurate to 0.05 millimeters. It uses this tiny little stylus right here. This is an 1/8 inch magnet on the end of it to actually mark the fork length of the fish. This guy is the HPR light reader that we'll be using today. This is a nice little handheld unit that is waterproof. This is our OHAS scale that we're going to use today. This one is the Scout SPX 6201. This guy has a little Bluetooth module on the back of it that allows it to communicate with actually the software. Importantly, you can use just about any scale you want as long as you have some sort of RS-232 cord that comes out of it or a USB cord that allows for data communication. And then we'll have to work with like a Bluetooth module or Bluetooth dongle to actually send the data to the software itself. So different scales can be added. This is the little socket D740 durable waterproof scanner. It will read both 1D and 2D barcodes. And that's kind of important because these little tiny QR codes on the bottom of the TSU vials, the scanner will actually read. I was going to show you a couple of the tablets that we offer. This is the Dell 7212. And this guy is actually designed for the medical industry and is a very, very durable tablet that has a long battery life, and it holds as many tags as you can possibly put at it. This is the Samsung Tab Active 2. This is a nice little 8-inch screen tablet that is durable and water resistant. When you buy the measuring board from us, you do get a nice padded soft case that comes with the board that has all the dividers on the inside of it to separate the measuring board from all the components. These nice little padded pockets back here in the back that will hold all the tablets and chargers and things that you want. You also get 2 styluses and a tablet stand that comes with the measuring board as well. And with that, we will start showing you how the software works. And so for today's presentation, I just wanted to show you how to create a template and then take data and then export that data, and then show you also some of the internal features of how to edit data fields and things like that.
Hey, Matt, we had a question from the audience. On the tablets, are those required? Do customers have to buy those from Biomark? And can you mention the requirements again on screen size, that sort of thing?
Sure. The tablets are not required to buy from Biomark. The Windows platform runs on a Windows 10 Plus or Windows 10 Pro platform right now. And so you can use a tablet, you can use a desktop, you can use a laptop that you want to take into the field. That does require at least an 8-inch screen for the Windows version, and then a 256 gig hard drive, 8 gigs of RAM, and the key is that you have Bluetooth 4.2 or newer. That's the important part. You also need the Wi-Fi capabilities to email the data. And then also, if you want GPS locations and images, it's nice to have a camera and also the internal GPS in there. The tablet on the Android version, you need to have at least a 7-inch screen. You need to have 16 gigs of memory in it, and you also need to have a camera, the GPS, and Android version 5.1 or newer. I can't remember if I said that or not.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you do actually want to install the software yourself, you can purchase the software from us, and we will provide a registration key, and you can actually download it from the Google Play Store if it's an Android device, or from the Windows App Store. So here's the software. Can everybody see it? And when you get to this is kind of the starting page right here. This will tell you the application version. The sessions this is going to be your daily tagging events. This is going to be, day 1, day 2, day 3, and you can continue doing this, and they'll all show up here on this dashboard right here. To create a new session, you just come up here and you click on Create New Session in the upper right-hand corner right here, and then you name it. We'll call it Webinar 2 today. So when you click on Create New, it'll immediately take you to the Configure screen. Now the Configure screen is where you're going to add all your Bluetooth devices. This is where you're going to add all your data fields. This is going to add where you add all your general information. And so to the first tab that you see up here on the top, which is Bluetooth devices, this is where you'll add all your Bluetooth devices. And so when you click Add New Bluetooth Device, you get a list that pops up here that shows you all the different pieces and parts that you can connect to the software. The first one, let's connect an RFID reader to it. Now, this is not the reader that we actually want. And so if you wanted to add a new reader, say we wanted to add our HPR light here, you'll come up here to paired devices. I just turned it on. I don't know if you heard the beep. Now this is a list right here of every device that you've actually ever hooked to. And so this list can get quite extensive. The nice thing is that you're not, if you accidentally grab the wrong tablet and the wrong reader in the morning, it doesn't matter. If you have 10 different RFID readers paired to the same tablet, you just pick what you're going to use from the day. But to add a new one, you'll just click on Bluetooth settings, and this will take you to the Windows settings. And then you'll go and click on Add Bluetooth Device, and it will go out and search for it as long as it's on. Oh, I bet it's this one. There it is. Then you simply just close the Windows menu. And then when you hit refresh here, there's our reader that we just added right there. So you just hit back. And then when you click on the device here, it'll bring up two. It'll bring up all the RFID readers that the software recognizes. This is the one we're going to use today. And that number actually it's the serial number of the actual handheld reader itself. And so on the back of the reader, there will be a number that is associated to it. I generally recommend people to take a Sharpie and write on the bottom of the actual reader the serial, the Bluetooth MAC address or the search address for it. And then we can add some other stuff. We'll add our measuring board. This is the measuring board we'll use today. And again, if we had several of them would show up. We'll add a scale. That's the scale we use today. Same thing. The OHBT is OHAS Bluetooth, and the E5E8 is the address of or the number of the Bluetooth module. We'll add a barcode scanner right there as well. And so that's what we'll use today. Down here, you'll see this record auto advance, and this is a trigger. And so what this is it allows you to expedite the tagging process. I generally like to set it so that it is going to be on the tag reader. When it reads a tag, it'll create a new event, and then it'll also save a previous event. So to start the tagging session, all you'll do is simply scan a tag. To save it and also start a new record, you'll just scan another tag. And so it just eliminates one touch of the tablet. Now the data fields over here, this is the second tab over. The data fields are going to go through, and this is going to be where you'll add species and whatever you want. But you'll see already we have 4 data fields. These data fields are actually associated to the Bluetooth devices. And to actually edit them, you just simply click on them and say we wanted to rename this, you know, TSU vial. And then you can hit save. And also you can make things required. You can check if the tag has previously been detected or not. And so that's this key right here. And so if you have a significant amount of tags that you have out in the field or have in your fish tanks, and you want to basically go through and check and see when this fish was tagged, and you click this button right here, and then it'll tell you when you scan the fish in 2 years or 6 months or a month or a week that, hey, by the way, you tagged this fish, or you've already seen this tag in this session. And I think it gives you a date as well. And so that's kind of a neat one. You can make certain fields required, and that what this does is it will not allow you to move to the next record until that is required. But for like tag IDs, I generally don't make them required because sometimes you want to take data and sometimes you're not going to tag fish. And,
Matt, question, audience.
uh-huh.
On the tag or the advanced record or the manual versus automated trigger, does it have to be associated with a PIT tag reader or can it be something else?
It does not have to be associated with a PIT tag reader exactly. It does need to be associated with a peripheral device, meaning that you need some sort of device to trigger that record. So if you're out there and you're just measuring rocks with a tape measure and you don't have a peripheral device, you will have to hit save. But besides that, you can hook the trigger to the measuring board or the length or the weight of the scale or the TSU scanner. It's basically the last thing that you do in like a tagging sequence.
Okay, great, thanks.
So when you want to start adding data fields here, you'll just come up here and you'll click Add Tag Data Field. And then it'll bring up a bunch of different options for you guys. The text, this is going to be bring up the full QWERTY keyboard of the software on a tablet. And so this is something you'll want to use for like comments, we'll say. Then you also have these constraints in there. And so this is going to give you a 500 character constraint on it. You can't go over that. My favorite are like the multiple choice list here. Now, the multiple choice list, these are going to be your quick acquisition list. And so these are great for things like species. This is great for things like injuries, whatever you wanted to take. And so you'll see you have three options here. What you'll want to do when you start a new one is just create a new list. And we'll call it species. And then you come up here to the upper right hand corner and you hit create new item. Now this is where you'll just start adding species in there. So we'll add. Now the code here, now this is kind of nice. This associates a shortened version of rainbow trout. And I know that a lot of people on this webinar right now are in the Pacific Northwest and probably have to submit data to Patagus. So right here, this is where you would put your SRR codes. And so instead of rainbow trout, you would put in, if we wanted resident hatchery rainbow trout, I don't know, I can't remember, it's like 15U or whatever you would put in there. For this, we actually won't put anything in the code, but that's all this is. And this data gets actually exported out with the species name. We'll just keep adding. Just add one more. Gotta add the large scale suckers. So once you have your list right there kind of made, then you could simply just hit back right here and it'll ask you what you want to call it again. And you say, oh yeah, I just don't want to call it species. Now on this one right here, we can do a couple different things. We can make it required because generally every tagging record, every record observation that we're going to make is going to have a species associated to it. This is the one I like. This is repetitive. And so what this allows you to do is mark it one time and then it will sit there and repeat this data over and over and over and over again until you actually change it. Then it'll repeat the changed one over and over and over. And so this is important again when it comes to if you're just going to tag nothing but Chinook salmon that day, it's just going to repeat Chinook, 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 Chinook until you actually change it again. If you need to add anything to it, you simply come here to the edit list right here and you'll allow you to add a new one. Once you've made your edits, then you hit change, or excuse me, save. Some of the other data fields, this is a yes, no, and this will be a slider on your tagging screen. And so this is good for things like, is it a recapture? We can add. Now, this is important to point out too. If you are going to be using an RFID reader, you do not need to put the time and the date in there. And the biggest reason why is the time and the date actually come from the handheld reader. And so you just duplicate information. And I'll show you this when we export the data out. You'll see a time and date stamp from the handheld reader. If you're not using an RFID reader, you can put the time and date in there.
Question from the audience.
Sure.
How many data fields can be added to a session?
I have no idea because I have literally maxed it out and it just keeps chugging on. I have added close to 30 different data fields on some of the Pitagus templates that I've built in the past, and so I have not found the cap on it yet.
Okay, thanks.
You can also do a K factor on here. So this is Fulton's K factor for salmonids right here. And so this will give you obviously a range from 1 being perfect. So if you have a bull trout versus a Chinook salmon, obviously the K factor is going to be somewhat different. Bull trout are skinny, Chinook are short and fat. And so this will just give you an idea if you've made an error. If you see a K factor of 3, if you see a K factor of 0.5, then you'll obviously make an error or there's something went wrong. We have, this is kind of cool. You can actually use the tablet itself and use the camera on the tablet to take a picture of any sort of issue that you might have. So if you have a fish that say is descaled or is missing a fin, you can take a picture of it and it will associate a link made in the software with that tagging record. You can use an external GPS if you need sub 1 meter accuracy. You can use these $2,000 Arrow GPSs out there. If you need, I think they're plus or minus 3 centimeters or something like that now. They're incredibly accurate, but they have a Bluetooth capability to it that will allow you to pipe into the software and use it. You can also use the tablet GPS, and this will use the plus or minus 5 meter, I believe, is what most of these tablets have in them now. So their GPS location. And so once you get all your data fields added, this over here is your general tab. Now your general tab is like your metadata. This is going to be admin. This is going to be location. This is going to be project name. This is going to be things that are not associated per tagging record that certain agencies and certain like Pitagus, again, they require this information. And so you can actually add a location. This is really cool for like a roving fish crew. If you wanted to mark the top of site and say, this is where we started, you go to your edit location list, you add a location. You could call it, Mill Creek. And if you had an area or a code or anything like that, you can add that. If you click on this button right here, the little arrow button here, this locks it in there and says, this is where we were at. But you can add as many locations as you want. So the nice thing is that you could add the whole summer's worth of field work into these locations lists and have your field crew actually just go and select where we're at. Or if they're out there and they're in no man's land and they need to add a new location, it's really easy to do it. I don't know, I think we're at Matt's kitchen today. Now your administrator, this is going to be the end user in who's going to get the data. And so to add a new one, you can just add a location exactly like we did last time. But I think today Elsa is going to actually be the end user. If you need to add other session fields, you can do it right here. If you wanted to say add a numeric key right here, and we wanted to do like, tagging water temp, and that'll show up right here. And then you can add it was 12 degrees. If you wanted to add a multiple choice list, like a good one is tagger's initials that I've already made, you can add that one. And when you click on it, a drop down list of people will show up, and Tim's tagging today. So that's just, again, this has nothing to do with each individual tagging record. This is just going to be your metadata.
Question on that from the audience.
Uh-huh.
The first question is this general tab, is that required?
It is not required. You can run through the whole tagging software without actually clicking on the general tab. Again, there's nothing required about it.
Okay, and then this question is coming from one of our Pacific Northwest users, we assume. Is this software compatible with Patagus database?
It is, yeah. And so the way you do it with Patagus is you'll export out a CSV file and then you'll import it into P4. We experimented it with this year because we were up on the middle fork of the salmon, excuse me, the east fork of the south fork of the salmon doing some work, and we collected a lot of bull trout and cutthroat data, and we were able to successfully upload it into Patagus.
Okay, great, thanks.
So now that you kind of have a template built right here, you're ready to go. And you can simply hit back, and there is our webinar right here. Now, the beauty of this too is that now we can actually create a template from this. And if you hit, if you just go, sorry, I kind of went fast there, and you click on webinar 2, which is today, and then you come up here to these 3 dots in the upper right hand corner, and then you can actually create a template. And we'll just call it template webinar 2. And the software is very intuitive and it actually names things pretty appropriately. And so it saves it at what's called a JSON file, which is a JavaScript file. The beauty of this is that you can email these to all your field crew people and say, hey, use this template today, or let's add some, we added some things and I've changed the template, and let's keep using it. Now once you've created the template, you never have to do this again unless you want to change things or edit it, and then you can email it out to people. This button right here, which is called new collection, this is going to be your daily tagging event. And so we built our template. Now we actually want to tag some fish. We want to collect some data. If you just click on new collection, what this does is it makes a clone of the template that we just built, and without any of the tagging records, without any of the information in it. And you just come down here to create new data collection event, and we'll call this day 1. But then, if you wanted to name it something more appropriate, like Mill Creek, April 1st, something that gives you a little bit better, it'll export that out in exactly how you want to say it. But hey, here's all the handheld readers, and here's all the data fields that we made. Here's all the general information that we already added. And so it just clones the previous template that we've already built. And so it allows you to really get going in the morning much, much quicker.
That question on that from the audience.
Uh-huh.
You have to create a new a session every day, or can you just add to the previous day's session?
You can just always add to the previous day's session. I think I've got one right now that's got close to 500 different tags in it, and it just keeps going along, going along, going along, going along. If a location and a date is not important to you, you can just continuously keep adding to that session. I would recommend creating a new session once a day, once a week. It really depends on how much data you want to sift through. That would be my recommendation.
Okay, and then thank you, Matt. And then another follow-up question on the first Patagus question. How will these tag sessions be loaded into Patagus? And then the question is back to that: is it first converted to P4?
It is not first converted to P4. So it actually goes from the P4 has a upload feature to it that allows you to suck a CSV file in there. I have some templates that I've already built that will allow you to export the data out in a CSV file that will actually match up with P4 and Patagus. Patagus is very, very, very stringent on exactly capitalization in data fields, exact naming of data fields. And so it took me a while to really polish the template where it is perfect, ready for P4. So you export this data out as a CSV, and then you simply upload it into P4. We are working on a export out to P4 button, I guess you would put on there, but right now you'll have to export it out as a CSV and then import it into P4.
Okay, great, thank you.
So now that we've got we're starting our tagging, you simply just go in and you turn all your devices on. Let me bring everything into view here. And then once you've got all your Bluetooth devices on, then you simply just hit start connect. Now, what the software is doing right now is it's going out and it's saying, "Hey, where are you at?" And it's sucking all these devices in and it's connecting to them wirelessly, and we have connected to all our devices. Now, you remember how we made it so that you only needed to actually scan a tag to start? So to start with, you'll just scan a tag. Once you've scanned a tag, hey, there's your tag number. Now, this percentage over here, this is actually the battery of the of the electronic measuring board. It gives it in a percentage. We are working on a version 2 that will actually have your hand battery life on there as well. And so you just put your cursor down there, takes a length, and then you hit print, hit 0. I can't see behind my computer. There we go. And then your weight comes over. The TSU vials, these unique little 2D barcodes on the bottom of them. That pops up as well. Now your species list right here, this is your drop down menu. And again, this will be repeated time and time and time and time again until we actually change it. This your yes, no, is it a recapture? Sure is. Now, once we have entered this information in there, you actually don't need to hit save up there in the upper right hand corner. You can simply just scan another tag and we'll just move on. So it really expedites the data collection process and really eliminates, obviously, any need for data sheets. And so you see rainbow trout auto-populated, but this one's a large-scale sucker. He is missing his dorsal fin. And then again, we can basically just keep scanning. Take a length, take a weight, grab the TSU vial, and just keep going. This one's a bull trout. Now, if you ever need to add something on the fly, like, oh man, I forgot to put something in there, you can simply just hit save and then hit stop, and hit finish, and all of our Bluetooth devices just disconnected. But then you can just come to the configure menu real quick and say we needed to add another species to our list. Come over here to edit list, create a new one, and we forgot to put a mountain whitefish on here. If I can spell today. And there he is. Simply just hit back, hit the wrong button. And then we'll start and connect. And we've tested this Bluetooth. I was a little apprehensive on the Bluetooth stuff because my joke was always Bluetooth works great until it doesn't. But I have left stuff connected for full days before, and I've had great success with the Bluetooth connection on this. And then again, we can just continue. We can scan a tag. We can, let's actually get a little bit more technical here. Take a length, take a weight. We'll pretend to fin clip him. Use a recapture. And so you can really move quite quickly through all of these fish. And I am honestly not even touching the tablet screen. It is set there to just be kind of an autonomous data logger, and you can just keep going, keep going, keep going. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you guys as well is this ability to actually add a group of fish. So if you're actually not going to tag, say you were out there and you had caught, 30 whitefish that day or something like that.
Quick question from the
Sure.
audience. On the records that you're creating now, is there any ability to edit those or go back and change anything on those?
There is, and I'll show you guys real quick. Let me show this and I'll go back real quick.
Great, thanks.
And so if we wanted to say we observed 43 whitefish today. You can just add it in there, and it adds it as a count feature, and then you save it. Now this is where you can go in and edit your screen. Right here is obviously with all your records. The newest one pops up on the top, and so the oldest one is at the bottom. It sounds simple enough, but it took some coding to figure that out. And so say we wanted to edit this guy, you just click on him, and then he wasn't a large scale sucker after all. He was a Chinook salmon, and then you can save him. And so it's a really quick way to actually edit the data. The only thing you cannot edit is tag ID. The reason why is, believe it or not, computers are smarter than people when it comes to a 13-digit hexadecimal number. Oh, you can also delete, which is kind of nice as well. So say we made a mistake and we needed to actually delete this a fish, you can come in here and you can actually delete it right here. And I put in a feature where it's not a one-touch delete, so you actually need to hit, the actual delete button. And then I might turn my camera on real quick and I'll just run through some records really quick, so you guys can see me scanning in and whatnot a little bit better and see kind of the peripheral devices in action. So again, all we do is scan a tag, take his length, take his weight, crunch his tail or his dorsal fin or whatever you want to take a vial sample of, and then move on to the next guy. Tag it, length, weight, TSU scanner. So it really just speeds up the whole tagging process really well. So there's our tagging records that we just did right there. Now, once you're done for the day, you can hit stop and finish, and still take you back to the menu right here. Now, to export this data out is super easy. You just hit export down here in the bottom, and this will bring up a start date, start time, end date, end time. So if, like Hayden mentioned before, if you just wanted to take one session and have 3,000 tag records in there and just export out pieces of it, you can absolutely do that. This setup right here, obviously, we are going to export the whole tagging record out. If you click on file format right here, it'll bring up 3 file formats that you can export out into: Excel, CSV, or a text file. For this one, we'll just do Excel. Then you simply hit export. And when it brings up the export, I've already created a folder on my desktop, and it's super simple to actually map all of your tagging records into one folder. And so what it does right here too is it names the file, the time and the date, but you could name it Mill Creek April 1st if you wanted, and then simply hit save. And it'll bring up exported successfully. And I'll give you an idea of what that format looks like. So here is all of our tagging records right here. So this is exactly what I was saying with the metadata right here. The session name, the project, the administrator's name, where we're at, the comments, anything like that, tagging temp, tagging initials. So this is the data that's not associated with each of these tagging records right here. So here is what I was saying earlier as well, with the time and the date actually being coming from the handheld reader. This is the count. This is how many, fish. Obviously, if you're probably doing one tag ID, you're going to have one per tag ID. Here's the group that we built right here with 43 mountain whitefish that we saw. Length, weight, comment, code, species. Here, and this would be where the species code would get exported out right next to it. Here's your GPS locations associated to each of the individual tagging records. If you want to send me something nice, this is where I'm sitting right now. Just don't launch any bombs at me or anything. And then, so it's very, very simple to export that data out.
I've got some questions stacked up for you here. The one we've all been waiting for, I knew somebody was going to ask it. What does it cost?
it's so cost right now. The software is $495 for the first year. The price of the software does decrease to $375 after that. That extra money is designed for me to actually install the software for you if you want to buy the tablet and the software from us, but it recoups a lot of the questions that we're going to get. We're going to get quite a bit of emails. We're going to get quite a bit of calls on, how do you do this? How do you do that? Is it possible to do this? Also, this will if you needed to add another scale or something like that, it will cover some of that cost as well. Now, the Android tablet, these small little Droid tablets are $480 for those guys, and they are a great little tablet. The bigger Dell machine, the 7212 is $25.50 for either the 7212 or the 7220. There's some slight differences between the two of them. The measuring board, the 50 centimeter measuring board is $24.50, and the larger 1 meter board that I can show you guys, I couldn't really fit it into the screen. Let me try to pan up here. It's that monster right there. That guy is $28.50. The nice thing too is that you do get the accessory kits, which is the padded soft case, the styluses, the tablet stands, and all the chargers are included actually with the price of the measuring boards.
Okay, thanks, Matt. And then kind of a follow-up question on another one. Someone asked earlier about, is a PIT tag reader required to advance a record? This one's kind of similar, but is a PIT tag record required, kind of like it is for P4 in the Patagus world? Is that required for this software?
It's not required for this software. It is required for P4 to have a tag record. I believe you have to have a tag record. They do, I think, what they call a dot out feature, and I've worked on that a lot on a animal that you wanted to record information on but not tag, and I believe that is 14 dots or 14 periods that if you wanted to sync that submit that to P4, you just need to have that dot out feature, and we're working on that as well.
And so for someone outside of the Columbia River Basin, Patagus area, then they could technically be collecting data on anything. It doesn't have to be
Anything.
PIT tag related.
Nope. Anything you wanted. Like I was saying, if you wanted to go out and measure substrate size in the stream and use a tape measure, you can just simply hand enter all this information in there. All the peripheral devices are there for is just to expedite the data collection processed. Nobody wants to hand type in a 15-digit decimal code or a 13-digit hexadecimal code. The length, obviously, you save a little bit of time. It's more for mass marking. If you're going to go out there and mark, if you're on a screw trap and you're going to tag 150 fish a day, that measuring board just makes sense. It also eliminates a lot of problems that you get with hand entering data.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question that came in, is there a lookup function?
There is a lookup function. I will get into that right now. And lookup function being like tag history.
Yes, looking up a tag of interest.
Yeah. And so this is this tags of interest key right here, which is underneath your sessions. And so to kind of get back to you just kind of go to this, what they call a hamburger menu. I did not know it was called a hamburger menu, but I was informed by Twitter users that's called a hamburger menu. I said, okay. So if you just click on the session, this will take you into all your daily tagging events right here. But then you have all these other settings right here, or all other different functions. The second one down is called tags of interest. Now, tags of interest are pretty awesome because it allows you to identify specific individuals using PIT tags. And so it's really important in like the aquaculture industry when it comes to broodstock pairing, let's say. So for broodstock pairing, you've got 2,000 fish in front of you. You need to find two. And so what you can do is if you know the two tag IDs, you can take these two. You can say, I want this one and I want that one. And I want to move it into day. So I want this one and I want this one. And you can copy them or move them to it. Copy to is kind of nice. And you can just dump them into day one. And so today we're gonna go through and we're just gonna look for those two fish. That's all we're gonna do. And so you just start scanning fish. When these two fish pop up, you will hear a very annoying loud siren. The other beauty too is that you can associate messages to actually each of these individual pit tags. And so if you want to say move to, tank 2, when that tag is read, that message will actually pop up and say, hey, this is the fish you're looking for. Move him to tank 2 or move her to tank 2. Right now, it all depends on exactly how many I mean, excuse me. It all depends on the processor, the size of the hard drive you have in your computer. But you could probably put 1 million pit tags into this tag of interest. Now, sifting through that data might be a little difficult. The easy way to do that is you can actually go right here and you can add it from a text file. And so if you had 2,000 fish, that you wanted to say dump this into the program, you go into your Excel file, you copy and paste all of your, pit tag numbers into a text file, and then you dump them in right here. It's pretty easy. Another nice thing too that as long as you have the session, you can so to delete a session, you can actually go in. And from this menu right here, you can close a session. Now, what you do when you close a session is you're not actually going to be able to add data to the session. But as long as this session is closed and on your computer, it will remember every single pit tag that you have ever scanned. When you delete it, you do delete it from the internal database of the software. But if you have it just sitting there and closed, and you scan a fish 2 years from now and it pops up and says, hey, by the way, you saw this fish in 2018 on Johnson Creek or something like that, it will remember that as well. Now the settings down here.
Matt, sorry,
Yeah,
we
I'll
have
go
a
ahead.
couple questions backed up there that are coming in.
Mhm.
I believe you just answered this one about how many tags of interest can you have associated with each session. That was Ian's, right?
Yeah, I mean, on the Windows side of it, obviously with 256 gigs of memory, you can have all the tag numbers ever probably associated to it. Um,
Okay.
the Android tablet, my guess is with 16 gigs, you could probably still have millions of tag numbers in the tags of
Okay.
interest.
Right. Another one, can you take multiple lengths for one sample? For example, if someone was looking for a fork length and a total length.
So we're working on that right now. We're having difficulties. If we go back into our session here, if we wanted to take multiple lengths, you could do it, but it's only one measurement per device right now. But I'm working on getting it set up to where, for example, like sea turtles out there, they'll tag them 4 times. They'll put a pit tag in every single flipper they have. And the biggest reason why is that the sea turtles lose flippers, I guess, a lot. They get bit off by sharks. It's a common occurrence. I did not realize this until about 2 months ago. Um, and so what I want to do is the ability to take a tag or scan a tag, and you'll have it set up to be like pit tag right flipper, pit tag left flipper, pit tag, and you'll simply just either click on each of those windows, scan a tag, click on the next window, scan a tag, click on the next window. But for like lengths, multiple weights, what I would like to do is have uh, you take a one length and then then you hit add and you take a second length, and same thing on weights. That's coming. It's coming on our version 2 software of this, but for right now, you can only take one measurement per device. Now, if you just wanted to hand enter like a second length in there, it's very simple. You would just go to data fields, and then you would add a numeric column that'll only bring up the 10 key, and then you would put in, total length. And another feature I was going to show you guys too is if you wanted to actually move these icons around and have your flow of data go your way, you simply just use the arrow keys and it pops up, the total length until you get to obviously like length and then total length. But that's how you would handle that right now. On your settings right here, this is very simple. This will give you your audio settings. Your audio settings will, if you're sitting next to a river or in a noisy, hatchery environment or something like that, the noise settings, obviously you won't be able to hear them. They're quite loud. But the only one, they come all turned off, and if you want to turn them on, you just highlight them. I don't think it's important to have every tag ID make a bing noise or anything like that. The one I do have is the tag match sound, which is very, very loud. And so that would be the ones if you saw, um, the fish that you're after, it creates a siren, you have a message that comes up on the screen. Another one of the settings is just your preferences. And right now it's just hexadecimal or decimal. What do you want your tag format to look like? We're working, and it's right here. You just, change it. If you do, in the future, we will have a lot of these question marks distributed through the software that'll answer simple questions like, what is this?
Matt, another question.
Hmm.
Backing up a bit, can you demonstrate again for somebody the addition of a Bluetooth or a peripheral device, please?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So you'll just simply click on configure, and then you'll hit add Bluetooth device. And actually, we don't even have to do that. Say we wanted to add a different reader. Then you'll just go to your paired devices right here. And again, this will give us every pit tag reader we've ever hooked to. And then you simply click on Bluetooth settings, and it opens up the Windows version, or if it was a Droid, it actually uses the Android Bluetooth search feature. And then you just simply click on add another Bluetooth device, add Bluetooth. And right now I have another reader. Let me see if I can get it turned on. But it's as simple as that. Once it opens up, and sees the device, you can simply add it. And then if you go back to your settings right here, and then hit refresh, it would populate that right there. So it's really quite simple to add a different device. The nice thing is that once you get your device, you can literally go through and hook up every single device that you're. Once you get your computer, you can just turn on everything and go through the Windows or Android version and hook to everything that you're going to hook to, and just pop, 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 pop. It's very, very fast.
Great, thanks.
Uh-huh. And we went through that. Now the web portal is down here on the bottom. The web portal is coming, and what this is going to be is this is going to be a cloud-based database. And so you walk into the building that you work at, and you hook to a Wi-Fi signal. Instead of exporting that data out, it'll actually suck it all in. And so you turn on this web portal feature, you enter in all your information, you turn on the sync with the cloud that you saw. I believe that's right here in the general settings. And you turn this on, and as soon as you walk into the building, if you have that clicked, or as soon as you get a Wi-Fi signal, it will start uploading all the data from the tablet itself. And so this is coming in the future. It'll allow you to really kind of eliminate a step of downloading the data into an Excel sheet, exporting that data to the administrator. So that's coming. And then the about button down here on the bottom, this just tells you which application version you have. This is important for like me when somebody calls in and says, hey, I'm having an issue or something like that. First thing I'm going to ask is, what version of software do you have? The nice thing with the Google Play Store and with the Windows Store is it's very simple to actually update these. All you do is you go there, you search for BioLogic DCM, and then there'll be an update key that you just hit, and it creates an update. But that's really about all I have for you guys. Did you guys have any questions for me?
Matt, I think we worked through the question queue there.
Cool.
We'll hang out here for a little bit as anybody has any more questions, but thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
And I just wanted to say thanks again to everybody who joined us. I hope everybody on the call is safe and healthy, and their families are safe and healthy as well. And we will do our best at Biomark to be here for you guys during this challenging time. So please feel free to reach out to us with anything you need. And we'll hang out here on the call for a little bit. I've got a few chats that were coming in individually, so we've got some responses to get back to there. We'll get back to those people And then once again, if anybody has any general questions or follow-up questions, you can email us, call us, and then we'll also put a link to this on our website and look for future webinars coming. We'll try to keep this going for a while here as we're all working remotely, and hopefully we'll be able to stay in touch with everyone. So thanks again. And yeah, Matt, we'll just hang out for a little bit, and if any other Q&A comes in, we can walk through it with people.
Awesome.
And for those of you in Idaho and this area yesterday, I'm sure we all had some excitement with the earthquake yesterday. So we're all good here though. So
Yeah, it was terrifying. That wasn't terrifying. I couldn't
kids
tell
thought
if
it was pretty exciting.
yeah, I couldn't tell if I was feeling aftershocks or my legs were just kind of shaking a little bit.
One question that just came in, Matt. I think you touched on this earlier, but the measuring board has an internal battery.
It does. Yeah, it's a I kind of overshot on it when I was doing my runtime calculations. I decided I wanted about a 12-hour runtime on the measuring board. It runs for well, taking 5 measurements. No, I was taking 10 measurements an hour, and I was able to run it for 42 hours straight. And so the internal battery on this thing lasts forever. I have left it on accidentally in my cube and went home for the weekend and came back on Monday morning, and it's still on. Now, granted, it wasn't hooked to anything, but it was still on. So the battery life on this thing is phenomenal.
I got some feedback for you. Superb webinar with great information and excellent tutorial. I continue to learn more about Biomark.
Who's that from?
Nice job. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I had a question on the scale. What was the weight capacity of the O house, and do we have a larger scale?
We do. This one is 6,200 grams. They make another one that's 8,200 above it, and then they make obviously a lot that are much, much lighter weight. I'm working with a company in Germany right now called Kern to get a more industrial washdown scale shipped over here. I'm just kind of waiting for Hayden to tell me it's okay to spend a couple $1,000s on a scale. But yeah, that capability is going to be nice. It actually has a internal Bluetooth module. The key to all the scales especially is you will need some way to transmit that data. And if it's coming either USB or RS-232, they do make Bluetooth modules that actually hook into a serial cable that allow you to transmit that data via Bluetooth.
Great, thanks. Some more feedback for you. Thank you. This will be a big help now that we can only work remotely during the pandemic. Excuse me. Yeah, and that's we appreciate that feedback, and that was kind of one of our hopes with the webinar is that as people are working remotely and we don't have that normal day-to-day interaction or the ability to attend conferences, trade shows, those sort of things. This is a way
Yeah.
that we can stay in touch with people.
Yeah, absolutely. I do see that somebody asked if it's available for iOS. We're working on it. We're trying to deal with Apple when it comes to licensing issues. Apple wants a lot to make it available. And so yes, eventually in the future we will have an iOS version available for an iPad. Right now it's primarily for Windows 10 and for Android version 5.1 or newer. And the reason it's 5.1 or newer is we started the development what, a year ago, and the that was what was out at the time was 5.1. I think they're up to like 8.1 or something now. Sorry, I turned on the chat and Q&A so I can see it too. Nobody's booing me yet, so that's good.
Another question just came in, Matt. Can you use the measuring board connected to AC power?
Yeah, absolutely. So it comes with a charger, and you just plug it into the side of it and plug it into the wall. I have ran it. I was a little skeptical if it would actually keep constant measurements, or not, excuse me, consistent, accurate measurements running on battery or AC power, and it seems to work just fine either way. So you can have it plugged into the wall and run like crazy.
And can you reiterate the Windows and Android requirements quickly again for somebody?
Sure. Yeah. And so the Windows requirements is Windows 10.1. I think it's 10.1 Pro, or I think they have a new one coming out eventually. But it needs to be a modern laptop or tablet. Then it also needs, on the Android side of things, it just and it has to have a minimum of a 10-inch screen size. On the Windows one, it would be nice if you had 256 gigs of memory, 8 gigs of RAM, and Bluetooth 4.2 or newer. That is actually the biggest key, is that you have the newest Bluetooth module or Bluetooth stack in there. And then if you want the GPS locations, you'll need an internal GPS in the tablet or computer. If you want images of the animal or whatever you're taking a sample of, you'll need to have a camera on there. But I don't know of any tablet or computer or laptop that does not have a camera anymore. And then same thing on the Android. It just needs to be 5.1 or newer, have Wi-Fi, GPS, camera, and a 7-inch screen size is the smallest on the tablet. We have messed around with doing it on phones. On the phones, it just really messes up kind of the whole tagging. The screen it mushes all the columns down in kind of a weird thing, and so that's why we put the 7-inch minimum screen size.
Matt, another question that somebody just asked, the Tag Manager software that comes with handheld readers,
Uh-huh.
what's the difference between
Tag manager,
DCM versus that?
yeah, tag manager, you're very, very limited on actually what you can do and customize. I think you have, what is it, 15 custom columns that you can add in tag manager. And then you don't have any of like the hands-free data communication. Everything has to be typed in, or that sort of thing. It will not communicate with all the peripheral measurement devices. And the other thing on tag manager is it's PC only. And so you have to have a fairly beefy field computer to take with you. But Tag Manager is nice. It works well. This is just the next step. This is the next, um, crowning jewel of data collection software that I can see.
Thanks. I guess one thing that I would throw out there too, Matt, is this is our software. We have a couple years ago we took the step of hiring some more in-house people for doing this sort of thing. So this is a Biomark created software. It's something that we have, I would say, has been years in the making.
Yeah.
Some of us on this call, I'm sure, are familiar with P3 and those sort of things, which is now P4, and just the evolution of data collection software. And I think that this is a nice place that we've come to, in the sense that it is pretty user friendly, customizable, and it doesn't have to be associated.
No,
tag record. It can be anything.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You don't need to have any of these peripheral devices. You know, you can go out there and take, count tree rings and measure tree trunks and, whatever you wanted to do, it'll allow you to do it. And it allows you to do it and set it up exactly how you want to, or how how you want to have your data look, which I always thought that was quite nice, instead of being hamstringed by somebody else telling you this is how your data is going to have to look. You can set it up exactly the way you want to make it look. Oh, Armando's on the call. Very cool. Or on the conference.
He's listening in, getting ready for the Europe webinar tomorrow. So,
Oh, you guys are gonna make me wake up early.
yep. I just had one more chat here. Are there, Matt, are there covers on the ports?
There is.
I assume this is in a question in regards to the electronic measuring board, but maybe you could touch on the other devices as well.
Yeah, absolutely. On the measuring board, can you guys see that? There's a rubber plug that goes into the DC jack right there, and it is a burly DC jack. You really don't need them for all the other features, because everything is going to be waterproof sealed. Actually, the DC jack is waterproof and sealed as well. We do have on the new HPR light, we do have kind of this mud plug that goes in there and keeps any debris from going in there. The socket scanner actually has a cover over the top of it right here for the charging port as well. And it's a nice rubber charging port. The scale, the only thing that on the scale is going to be just that jack in the back and the AC adapter. So as long as you have your Bluetooth module plugged in there, you should not get any things in that. That's about it right there. Oh, obviously the tablets and everything like that. The Windows tablet has a series of these rubber covers over the top of all of the USB, the charging port. Actually, that is a micro RS-232 port. There's your charging port. So it has all these rubber stoppers over it. The Samsung tablet does not have, the only port on the Samsung tablet is actually this USB-C connector that allows you to charge it and also pull your data off as well. Then there's an audio jack, but it does not have any real covers on that I can see, but good question.
Okay, well, it looks like most of the participants are exiting or have exited, Matt. So let's wrap this up, and we'll get for those that are still on or leaving right now, we'll get this posted up on the website. Any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you again very much to everyone who participated today.